Hello, and welcome back to Sacred Mindshift Circle. I'm your host, Dahlia Dever Donalds. And today I'm honored to welcome a very special guest. Today I have Catia Teixeira, the founder of Reset Wellness. She also has a very strong presence online, especially on TikTok, where she reaches a wide global audience with her teachings on consciousness. Catia is a transpersonal therapist, a hypnotherapy practitioner. She's also writing a book and has an ebook out related to consciousness and wellness. And she is based in Portugal. So, without further ado, I welcome Catia Teixeira.
Hello, hello. I'm so happy to be here with you, and it's a pleasure and honor to be here doing this podcast with you. So thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thank you as well. As I mentioned to you before, I've had a couple of months that I haven't done a podcast, so I'm reinitiating, and you are my first guest
I
to
feel it's more
welcome
honor.
back. Okay. So tell me a little bit first, before we begin, tell me a little bit about you and how you began to be interested in the topic of hypnotherapy. You talk about alchemy, consciousness. Tell me a bit about like your background, how you grew up, what affected or influenced this.
That will take us a few weeks, but I will try to be as short as possible. I grew up in a very small town in Portugal, in a religious family. Let's say my grandparents were very religious, my mom not really. So I always have the two sides. Um, like I said, my grandparents created this vision of that God exists, whatever people perceive as God is. Um, and my mom would be like more like, no, I don't think so. If God existed, things wouldn't be the way they are in the world. So while growing up, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family in the sense of, well, my grandparents were very poor. My mom ended up in cycles, repetitive cycles of toxic relationships. Um, my grandparents had to face difficult health issues, and I grew up in very um, hardships. For example, my mom ended up with someone that abused me verbally, constantly. So being a teenager and growing up in that environment caused me a lot of issues, internal issues. And I knew from since a very young age that I had something in me that was different from everyone else, not in the sense of superiority, but more like there wasn't a call inside of me for something more than just that life. And when I was 13, I had a very intense spiritual experience, and no one could understand that. Like I said, my grandparents were very religious, so they would see that as something that we don't talk about it. And obviously, my mom didn't have any awareness when it comes to spiritual gifts or whatsoever. They took me to a church for them to see what was happening with me. They did whatever they did, I don't know. And they said that I had gifts and I could see spirits, I could connect with the spirits, and etc. And because that experience was so strong for me, and I didn't have a support system, I tried to numb myself. I tried to ignore. I hide my abilities, and on my 20s, that came around in a very nasty way. I started having like what we call it here panic attacks. I would start feeling weird things in my body that I couldn't explain. I was going to see some doctors and no one could find anything wrong in me. So there was no answers. So they will always assume that would be anxiety or panic attack or whatever. And then on my 30s, I end up having a relationship that wasn't completely good for me. And that was my breakthrough. Was at that time with that relationship that I actually start seeing things with different eyes. And that led me to my first spiritual awakening, where everything amplified to an extent that, oh my God, what is this? And I had to face everything that I was avoiding since I was a child. And it was very overwhelming. That's why I do what I do, I think, right now, because I understand how hard it is not having the support system in place when the world that you believe exists start crumbling and you start seeing the reality of this world, and then no one around you understands you. And it is really, really overwhelming. It's not glamorous at all, this journey. So yeah, here I am now.
Okay, so very good explanation. And yeah, basically that's kind of like where a lot of people find themselves right now. A lot of people, I believe, based on just maybe it's my algorithm, but I do watch a lot of videos and TikTok influencers and people who are talking about their experiences, spiritual experiences, and they're mostly from the States because I am American. And it does seem like people are just waking up and coming to the realization that things are not exactly as how we once thought, right? So when you do your videos, you do speak a lot about helping people understand like their energy and their importance of their energy. So we'll start with that one. Um, how is energy a currency in this world?
Well, even the word pay attention says it. You are paying with attention, meaning you are paying with your energy. So if you have this understanding, you start seeing yourself with much more value. We think we have to work hard even in order to receive money, as money being the only energy. But actually, no, when you start understanding that you have a value, things inside of you start to align you with the more things to confirm that value that you believe you have. And this is what I'm trying to say to people. You will always be confirmed what you believe you are. If you believe that you are not good enough, you're going to encounter more things to confirm that for you. The world will be your mirror. So if you have the knowing that you are a divine being, you are an extension of a creator, then your value cannot be put into a piece of paper because money is even fake. It's just a piece of paper. It's been printed. It's just a way of navigating this life in this realm. But the real value is what we carry with us. And this is what the majority of people are waking up now to see that, oh, wait a second, I don't have to do what I've been taught to do in order to to be wealthy, for example, because my value have to start from me, and therefore the world will mirror my value. But if you keep chasing, just looking for confirmation of your value, then you are losing here your power.
Okay. So yeah, and I think that's a very good point to make. And can you explain a little bit? Because if people are not aware of this, sometimes they allow this world to also drain their energy without their awareness that they're giving that attention and they're giving that energy away. Um, for the most part, can you name the ways that we tend to, without our knowledge, give away this energy and attention, or how the world takes it from us?
Yeah. Well, for example, working for others when is not aligned with what you really want, if you are doing that because you have the lack mentality or you believe that you have to work in order to have work for others in order to have money, for example, or if you stay in a toxic relationship because doesn't matter the reason A, B, or C, but you stay and you keep expanding your energy for the sake of whatever, then again, another reason that energy is being stripped off you rather than you producing for yourself, you are giving it away. If you spend time for people that are not aligned with you and you're just spending because, oh yeah, it's my friend, oh yeah, it's my family, Therefore, I'm going to excuse all of their behaviors and I'm just going to stay around them for the sake of God knows what, because we do this very, very often. We stay in places and around people that shouldn't be next to us. We are too attached with the identities. Oh, is my father, is my mother, is my brother, is my friend, and therefore I have to stay. But no, the reality is you are just proving that you don't know actually your value. Boundaries, when we say boundaries, energetic boundaries is also a big one. You have to create your energetic boundaries. It's so important, because if you keep giving away, guess what? At the end, you have nothing left for you. And we end up drained, feeling like, oh, I don't know what to do with my life. I feel like empty. I don't have energy to do more. Exactly, because that has been sucked out of us by others as well, because we didn't create the boundaries in the first place. So this is something that I pay a lot of attention. And I've been doing this for a very long time, because I realized when I was in places for the sake of, oh yeah, I know these people. I'm not aligned with what they say or what they do, but I'm just going to stay around. Then I would go home and I would feel depleted. And I realized I had to experience that over and over, also to realize that something here is wrong. I'm doing something wrong. And I learned my lesson. Now I protect my energy at any cost.
Yeah, and so when we begin to decide and make that decision, okay, I'm going to protect my energy. It usually comes through a lot of different practices. Maybe you begin, I mean, everyone's different. I always recommend also like prayer as a way to center yourself. Meditation as well is a good way to center yourself, to just be able to start recognizing who
Yeah.
those people are around you that are doing these kind of behaviors that are trying to trigger you sometimes, and that you're allowing because, well, like you said, I've known them for so long, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I noticed also that as we go protecting our energy more and more, obviously you're going to be also raising your vibration, raising your frequency, and then this magical thing called spiritual attacks and spiritual warfare begins to intensify. Um, can you talk about your knowledge of that phenomena, that idea that as we continuously begin to awaken and grow or lift ourselves up in frequency, we start to get attacked?
Well, I'm going to give two perceptions, one as a therapist and as the other one as someone spiritual aware of things. So as a therapist, we can only receive attacks because we are unable to see what is hidden inside of us. Point. Meaning our subconscious mind runs 95% of our life. The majority of people don't realize this. Therefore, there's repetitive cycles, behaviors, and even thoughts constantly happening on repeat without people realizing. But then consciously, they want one result, but life is happening in a completely different direction, leading them to an opposite outcome. And all of this has a reason, which is there's something on our subconscious mind that was learned as a fact at young age that is leading us towards the wrong results. And when you have so-called all these demons hidden inside of you, they know where to catch you. They know where to attack because you have an open door. You have to go deep in you to see where the door is open and clear whatever is there, close it, and that is secure. That's it. No one can come here unless I allow. On the spiritual sense, is obviously while you elevate your frequency, you have to experience a lot of release of what was making you stuck on the older identity and the older level of consciousness before. And it's exactly the same thing. All that negative patterns that you had that kept you at that level before had open doors for you. They had open doors for you. But when you don't know you have those open doors, anything can come in and out. And until you understand how you, as a multidimensional being, have a magnificent biofield around you that is very useful, obviously, but is also an open door to receive the so-called attacks when you don't know how to protect it. All these things like trauma, negative thoughts. I'm not saying just having one thought will lead you to this. No, I'm not saying this, but something that is repetitive and prolonged. Like I said, traumas, doubts, constantly toxicity, and etc. Those things will create invisible cracks on your biofield, and then it will be an entry point for other entities to come over and use you for different things. That's why so many people, unfortunately, when they don't look after themselves, they don't exercise, they don't eat correctly, they don't do a spiritual hygiene, they don't try to improve themselves from inside out. Without knowing, they succumb to what this realm believes us to be. Therefore, you become so saturated in here that it's easier for those entities to suck your energy, drain you, and the more drain you are, the easy target you become. And this is why it's so important to have the awareness, because when you have the awareness, you know what to do, when to start, where to start, sorry, and what you have to do as your routine, and has to be a non-negotiable. It's for your own sake and for the sake of people around you, because you are not compromising just you. You are compromising your entire family. I see many couples, one, for example, more spiritual connected, the other one not really. And then he is less spiritual awakened than the woman, become the perfect vessel to bring trouble to the woman. Therefore, she become less able to connect because that interference aggravates everything. This regulates her, sends you to a place that no one wants to be. Energy is off, and it's just chaos all over. So yeah, I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I think that that's what happens to a lot of people. And I think that, from my opinion of how this world actually functions,
Yeah,
I really do feel that like it's kind of constructed that way, depending on whom you're with. As you are beginning to raise higher, it's as if there are things or mechanisms set in place to try to prevent you from reaching that level of awareness where you can maybe energetically, I feel like shift the consciousness because I feel like we are all one consciousness, like a collective that if enough of us, if we're like little nodes on different ley lines around the world, if enough of us in a certain area shift into a very high level of awareness or positivity or love, it can cause an imbalance in let's say the constructs of what maybe a lot of the or I'm not saying like leaders, but the it can cause an imbalance in the construct of how this world is run, right? Or
yeah.
whoever's
We are
running
all
this world.
connected. We are all connected. We are all connected to the through the grid. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we send information. We will also receive information, and this is the worst part because we are not just sending. We are also receiving, and sometimes we are receiving from the others. And as the majority is stuck in a certain level of consciousness, therefore people with much more awareness, when we travel for places with less awareness, we feel actually that we are suffocating. We start feeling less happy or more depressed, I would say, because we are actually receiving what is predominant on that area. And that's why it's so important. I can't stress this enough. It's so important. And I believe that the majority of people that are on this journey, spiritual journey, we all are, but some more than others, is what I'm trying to say. We have that call to travel, all of us. There's something in us that wants to move from one place to the other, sometimes without even knowing, why would I want to go there? But there's something, and then we start receiving the signs because we have to actually move sometimes. We help the grid in certain points. We've been distributed all over the world at the exact perfect time in order to help the collective or certain areas, just to amplify the energy, because it's been completely imbalanced. Do so many things that are happening on the world. So yeah, we are like little antennas. And that's why the more spiritual aware you are, the more you actually help the grid, the more you help the collective consciousness. And this is another reason we say the more you work on yourself, the more you help others around you, because it's true.
Yeah, and I definitely believe that it's not about having a kind of savior complex, but you have to save yourself. By you just putting in the work in yourself, you're helping in a even bigger way to everyone else. And now my next question to you is, what are some of the techniques that you recommend for those that are just beginning to awaken? Like, what are things that you would recommend that they begin to do, practices that they can do to begin to ground themselves and I guess really listen inward?
Yeah, the first one is to be very careful to what they watch online, because you will end up in a very bad place if you listen to everyone uh, at that stage. You have to be very specific with what from where you want to go and get your information, and stick with that. Try not to absorb everything, because it doesn't work. It's going to leave you in a complete mess, internally speaking. So I would start, if there's someone that you resonate, stick around. Pay attention to what that person has to say. If the path that person walked is similar to yours, there you go. Another good reason to stick around and listen more and observe. Other thing, obviously, we have to do more and more is grounding. So go to nature, spend more time in nature. We spend too much time in front of electronics, which drains us even more, and actually are very, very toxic for this spiritual awareness. We start feeling really off, anxiety, and etc. So we need to spend more time outside, close to nature. Meditation is a fantastic tool. I would recommend for sure binaural beats. Work even with frequencies to help you to cleanse your aura, your field. Other things, I personally, if I knew what I know now, my first thing will be, I will try to get rid of everything that I don't want and it was on my subconscious mind, because it took me many, many years to find out this one, and this one, it would make, if I knew this, it would make my journey 10 times or 20 times easier, because obviously we are conditioned from the very beginning. And if you don't remove what is actually creating all the blockage on your life, therefore everything you're trying to do is much, much harder. So if you remove all the crap that is there and is not good for you, then if your awareness become more clear, your vision become more clear, your connection become more clear. Therefore, you don't actually have to do much in the sense of getting knowledge from external people, because your connection will be so strong that your own information from your own internal library will come to life, and you'll be able to ask questions and receive answers from trustworthy sources. You see, you won't be so dependent on others that out there, and some of them are very compromised, let's be honest. And then they are compromising your life because you actually trust them. So the more you clear yourself, become more lighter, your vessel more lighter, more aligned, you will get the answers that you need from you, from the real source that is running through you, not someone else.
Okay, yeah, and that definitely is the main, I think, important aspect that people have to pay attention to when they do listen to others who speak on spirituality is that whatever they're explaining to you should be something that's guiding you back to looking inside of yourself. Tell me a little bit about the book, if you want to, about the book that you're writing. What is it related to? And then I'll.
Well, the book that I'm writing is is to teach people the different layers that comprises our multi-dimensional being. And I wanted to create this because majority look at each other as being that physical body, that there's not much more than that. Yeah, anatomy is just that. When the reality is, if you don't include your biofield as part of anatomy, you actually are not talking about the same being as I actually am. And is the real being, because we are multidimensional beings, we have multidimensional layers. And when you understand those layers, you can easily navigate this life because you have a better understanding of who you are or and what you are capable of, your qualities, your powers, your what you can create through you. And so my book is just that, is in a very simplistic way explaining using science, psychology, and spirituality combined. This is why I like to to work as a transpersonal therapist, because this is what a transpersonal therapist does. She combines science, psychology, and spirituality, because we know as a whole we are much more than just the physical, the mental, and etc. So my book will be like this. It will be showing you how magnificent we actually are, and will help you understand your patterns, reactions, where things are coming from, what an imbalance in one layer could cause on the others, how to identify, what can you do to help yourself, and how the system um, makes it worse, because obviously the majority of things around this world are not here to benefit us. Uh, and this is why my book is a simpler way to understand all this, I would say.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Katia, for
Mhm.
joining me. And if you'd like to find out more information about her and her work with Reset Wellness, I'll be leaving her links in the show notes. And make sure to tune in to Sacred Mindshift Circle and visit sacredmindshift.com for more uplifting conversations and podcasts. So thank you so much, Katia, for coming.
Thank you. It was a
Okay,
pleasure to meet you.
thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everyone.